Hey, welcome to Meals with Maria. I am so glad that you're here today. Today I'm sharing budget bangers from TikTok. This is a series I found from Chef Tom Bateman. He's got to be from somewhere in the UK because he has a marvelous accent, and a lot of things are measured in milliliters, so we know they're from across the pond, let's say. Anyway, he makes some amazing budget meals. He is a fabulous chef, and one thing that he taught me was to use your spice cabinet, use your spice cabinet, and use your spice cabinet. These meals are full of spices, but they are low on ingredients, and we're using super cheap and simple ingredients. So it will not break the bank. These meals are less than $5, I swear, and they are absolutely amazing. They are better than most restaurant food that I've had at expensive restaurants or places that I've sought out. I mean, I'm going to think about these things for ages, and they're probably going to get added to the regular meal plan. Now, if you don't have a crazy spice cabinet, don't worry about it too much. Go ahead and swap things out if you need to, and consider buying a couple of spices every time that you go to the store. I think that is something that is crucial to being able to be an excellent home cook and not spend a ton of money. If you do want to buy spices, try to buy them from Walmart, Aldi, or Dollar Tree because they are significantly less expensive than buying them at your regular local grocery store. With all that said, I have some amazing meals for you, and I'm excited to share.
We're going to start off by making a sweet potato and chickpea curry, and I've made something similar to this before, but this recipe looked so amazing, so delicious, and so flavorful, I had to try it, and I was not disappointed. The great thing is sometimes you might have these things around. I love to keep sweet potatoes around the house to make up a quick meal. And in this case, I did have a couple of sweet potatoes. Even one of them was kind of old, chopped the end off, and it was totally fine. You need one large sweet potato, or in my case, I'm using kind of like a medium and then half of another medium. You want to peel them and then chop them. You want to make sure that you get as uniformly even pieces of sweet potato as possible. I did have some larger pieces in mind, and I found that it was causing my food to cook at a different rate or a different speed. So I ended up cutting them up, and everything worked out perfectly. But when you're initially cutting, think about that to make sure that everything cuts at the same time and the same speed. And then you want one diced red onion. I've said it before and I'll say it again, keeping onions on hand are such a great budget option that adds so much flavor. While you can use onion powder in this, these red onions cook down and are part of what makes it so fantastic. And then I have one, now I don't know whether it's a Fresno or a Serrano, it's a red pepper, and the recipe does call for it. It did make the meal quite spicy, so if you are not a fan of spicier things, I would just not put that in there, or you can put whatever your favorite pepper is in this dish. I'm just dicing it up really small because you don't want to be getting huge pieces of pepper. In the original recipe, he does leave all of the seeds in and everything. I'm like, whoo, that must be hot. If you take the seeds out, it will get rid of some of the spice and bring the heat down a little bit. Then I have 4 cloves of mashed garlic. Minced or garlic powder will do, but I have found that fresh garlic does pack a much bigger punch and gives you a lot more flavor and bang for your buck. Garlic is so inexpensive, so it's like you just gotta make sure that you buy it when you go to the store, and you will be pleasantly surprised. What is not to love about all of the colors here? And so far we've spent couple bucks, not even, just for these things. I mean, this is a very inexpensive set of ingredients that is flavorful and healthy. And then I do have about a handful, about a quarter cup of chopped cilantro here as well. And that's also, I always recommend you grab that at the store because it's 99 cents a bunch usually, and you can use it in so many different things. So to my pan, I just added a tablespoon of butter. Original recipe says to use some coconut oil, so whatever you have on hand, I'm sure olive oil would be just fine too, or whatever type of oil that you have. We're just going to cook these onions down for a few minutes until they're soft. And then you want to add in your garlic and your pepper if you're using it. And we're going to cook this for another minute or two until fragrant. You'll see off to the side there, I'm also cooking some basmati rice, just according to package instructions, because I happen to have some in my closet, but any type of rice with this will do, or cauliflower rice would be delicious as well. To that mixture, add 1 tablespoon of tomato paste, and if you're opening a new can, make sure to freeze the rest. I did open a new can, and I made sure to freeze the rest of my tomato paste so that I can use it at a different time, and it's just a great way to not let it go bad because you're opening the whole package. For spices, you want to use a teaspoon of chili powder, a teaspoon of dried ginger, a teaspoon of turmeric, 1 teaspoon of cumin, and 2 teaspoons of garam masala, and a half a teaspoon of cinnamon. Now that masala, I have had that for probably a few years now, but it has been a lifesaver every time that I have seen a recipe like this, and I'm so thankful and happy that I have it on hand. So it's something that is worth investing in, even though maybe it's not something you use every day. Once that's well mixed, you want to add in your sweet potatoes and 1 can of coconut milk. I have seen coconut milk at the Dollar Tree, so you can find it for pretty inexpensive prices. I actually had gotten that one on clearance at my local grocery store and put it in my pantry, and now was the time to use it. So like I said, many of these things are things that I already have or had on hand. I didn't have to actually buy anything in order to make this, which was super nice. Bring this to a boil and cook it over medium-low heat for probably 8 to 9 minutes until your sweet potatoes are tender, and then add 1 drained can of chickpeas, again a very, very cheap ingredient, and one that is extremely hearty and nutritious. Add in a handful of chopped cilantro, mix and warm until everything is warmed through. And wow, there is so much flavor in this. I realized as I was cooking both of these recipes from Chef Tom that maybe I under-seasoned my foods. There was so many different spices, so many different seasonings that for me were something that were already part of my spice cabinet. I was so surprised and amazed by what I could make at home. I mean, this really felt gourmet. It felt like to me, this was better than any restaurant food that I've ever had. I kind of couldn't stop eating it, so I just served it over my rice. I wish I had like a piece of naan bread to go with it, but didn't miss the meat at all. It was just so wonderful and such a budget meal. I mean, this is coming in well under $5. You can feed 4 people very easily with this. I actually packed mine up for lunches because I made it, with the pepper, so I knew it was for me. But these are healthy and hearty and delicious lunches to eat all week that I have no guilt about. Next, we're gonna make a chicken sandwich with these bone-in chicken thighs that I got for 99 cents a pound. So it was $3.50 for 6 of these, which is such a deal, and I didn't even need all 6 of them. I'm actually going to take all the skin off and take the bones off. So you can buy boneless, skinless chicken thighs, but you are going to pay a premium. You're not gonna get that 99 cents a pound rate. And there's also something to deboning it yourself. I think that when I generally get them at the store and they're already take the bone out, there's just not as much, fat, flavor. They're smaller. I don't know what they do to them, but doing it yourself, there's just something about that. You want to peel all of the skin off and cut off, any real excess fat, and make sure not to throw that stuff away. That's going to make an excellent broth, or you can actually slice up those chicken skins. I like to cook mine up, actually fry it up and serve it with some potatoes and an egg over the top, and it's just fantastic, kind of as like a hash. To debone them, I'm not an expert at it, but you do want to kind of slice along the side of the bone to kind of get the meat off of there. And once you slice, there's almost like a tendon at the top of it, and once you slice through that, you should be able to kind of pull the chicken right off of the bone. And so I'm just cutting that off at the top there. You see, you can kind of see it on the right. Let me see if I can zoom in. But once I cut that, then I was able to just slide the chicken right down the bone and pull it off. So that was helpful. It's a little bit of a process. Hey, you know what? If you butcher your butchering process, not a big deal. Practice makes perfect, and it all tastes the same anyway. So to coat the chicken, you're going to want 100 milliliters, which I think is like a third of a cup of buttermilk, but luckily I had milliliters on my measuring cup, so no problem. Don't worry if you don't have buttermilk. You can just use regular milk and a squirt of lemon juice, and that should be fine. And 2 tablespoons of pickle juice. In a second bowl, add a half a cup of flour and a half a cup of cornmeal. Now from here on out, the marinade and the dredge have the exact same spices, so I added them at the same time. You want to add in 1 tablespoon of hot sauce, whatever your favorite is, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of white pepper, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of onion powder, a teaspoon of cayenne pepper if you want to use it. I did not, because I was making this for my whole family and they're very sensitive to that. 2 teaspoons of smoked paprika and 1 teaspoon of chicken bouillon powder. And that's what he said was his secret ingredient. So it did give it a lot of flavor and adds a lot of salty umami type flavor to that. Mix both of those really well. And then I was supposed to marinate the chicken for 2 minutes to 2 hours inside of that marinade. Completely forgot to do that. And so I just put it right in there and put it right in the dredge and then cooked it. However, it was still phenomenal. I can't imagine how much even better it would have tasted if I had actually marinated it. So, hey, if you're running low on time, don't even worry about marinating it, because I promise you these taste so good. It's amazing flavor. And it's because we're using so many spices. And so far, I just picked up those chicken thighs and I didn't have to buy anything else. Everything else I have in my house, I have in my pantry. You want to heat some oil, about, a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch of oil, and plop your chicken in there. You want to cook those for 3 to 4 minutes per side until golden and crispy, and make sure that that chicken is cooked all the way through. But wow, I mean, I don't normally cook like this. Like, I don't normally fry chicken, but I might need to start. It'll have to be a sometime snack, but whoa, so good. Now, while you can and you should put whatever you like on your chicken sandwich, this is the recommended topping. It is a hot honey, 2 tablespoons of your favorite hot sauce with 2 tablespoons of honey. And I have actually never had a hot honey sandwich until today. And holy moly, I am addicted. I'm obsessed. It's so delicious. This makes this really sweet, tangy, spicy sauce. It's so simple. And you just pour that right over the chicken. There's also a recipe for this. I'm going to call it aioli. Initially, it says to use some melted butter, but I was out of melted butter, so I poured about a teaspoon of oil into about a 1/4 cup of mayonnaise and mixed that together. Like I said, always use what you have. I had a fresh clove of garlic. I grated that in there. If you don't have fresh, you could always use garlic powder. And a squeeze of some lemon juice. Didn't have fresh lemon, that's fine. And some parsley flakes, about a 1/2 teaspoon. And again, if you have fresh, go ahead and use those. That is actually what the recipe called for, but I didn't, so we used the dried, and it was absolutely delicious. To assemble the sandwich, I just took a toasted hamburger bun that I had left over from my kids' birthday parties, because, hey, I already had it. Put some of that sauce on the bottom, placed the chicken on top of that, and drizzled that hot honey right over the top. Added some shreddis, which we always say shreddis makes everything better in this house. Something about it. A little bit more of that aioli over the top, and place that on there. And this is so amazing. It was just, I have no words. It reminds me of, like, you'd go to a place and they'd be like, oh, you got to get the chicken sandwich there. Like, it's so good. That is what it reminds me of. Like, nothing that you could necessarily replicate, except that this is something you can make at home. I serve mine with some green beans and some amazing macaroni and cheese. Both of those will be in upcoming videos, so make sure to check those out. We're going to be working with macaroni and cheese, and we'll also be working with green beans. Make sure to subscribe so that you can see both of those videos in your subscription feed or get notifications about them. If you hit the notification bell, you will not be disappointed. Make sure to like this video if you love budget bangers and all of the amazing things that I made today, because I will tell you, these are the best things that I have made recently. Wow. Make sure to click on this next video to see some more amazing budget meals, and I'll see you all very soon.